12th Man Podcast. Let's talk sports. The 12th Man Podcast.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. This Coach Doug coming to you live from beautiful College Station, Texas, with your 12th Man Podcast for Week 9. Actually, it's Week 8, but we are in Week 9. So, this episode of your 12-Man Podcast is brought to you proudly by 1835 Bourbon. 1835 Bourbon, Texan-made, Texan proud. 1835 Bourbon, come and take it. All right, we're going to take a look starting with the ACC with scores from last week. Number 2, Pittsburgh at NC State. Pittsburgh 31, NC State 28. Close game. Closer than Pitt would have liked. Let's take a look at the stats in that one. Pittsburgh had 23 first downs, 467 total yards of offense, 61 plays, 7.7 yards of play. They rushed the ball 31 times for 122 rushing yards and 3 rushing touchdowns. And they were 5 of 10 on third down conversions for 50%. Don't forget they had 345 passing yards and 1 passing touchdown on the day. Taking now a look now, you got number 5, Arizona State hosting Kansas State. The Sun Devils put it on. The Wildcats 48-11. Looking at your stats, the Sun Devils had 25 first downs, 444 yards of total offense. They ran 64 plays, 6.9 yards of play. They rushed the ball 25 times for 100 rushing yards and 3 rushing touchdowns on the day. They added 344 passing yards and 3 passing touchdowns while going 7-12 on third down conversions for 58%. Highlight of the day for the Sun Devils, their defense holding the Wildcats 4 of 11 on third downs for 36%. North Carolina hosting Clemson. North Carolina 54, Clemson 22. Stunner for the Tar Heels, who had 10 first downs, 301 yards of total offense. They ran 71 plays, 4.2 yards of play. Rushed the ball 24 times for 26 rushing yards and a horrid 1.1 yard a carry. But it didn't matter as they added 275 passing yards and 3 passing touchdowns on the day. They were 7-20 on third down conversions for 35%. Story of the day for the Tar Heels, turnovers. 1 interception on the day for the Tar Heels. Oh, folks, I'm sorry. I got that score backwards. Clemson 54, North Carolina 22. Jumping over to the Big 12, Florida State hosting Akron. Florida State 48, Akron 13. Let's take a look at the stats for the Seminoles on the day. The Seminoles put up 24 first downs, 563 yards of total offense, ran 64 plays, 8.8 yards of play. They rushed the ball 27 times for 190 rushing yards and 3 rushing touchdowns while adding 373 passing yards and 3 passing touchdowns through the air. Point of emphasis on their next game for Florida State. They were 3 of 11 on third down conversions for 27%. They're going to have to clean that up. Now we take a look at Georgia hosting TCU. TCU 41, Georgia 38. Rough game for the Bulldogs at home. Arkansas hosting their FCS opponent. Arkansas 49, FCS opponent 24. Taking a look at the Razorback stats. They had 28 first downs, 453 yards of total offense. They ran 63 plays, 7.2 yards of play. They rushed the ball 20 times for 106 rushing yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. And the Razorbacks had 347 passing yards and 5 passing touchdowns, as the Razorbacks were 4 of 10 on third down conversions for 40%. Number 8, Texas A&M hosting Baylor. Close game at home for the Aggies, closer than they would have liked. 49-31. Let's take a look at those stats. Texas A&M 28 first downs, 475 yards total offense. They ran 58 plays, averaged 8.2 yards a play. They rushed the ball 24 times for 205 rushing yards, 3 rushing touchdowns. They added 270 passing yards and 4 passing touchdowns through the air. The Aggies were 4 of 6 on third down conversions for 66%. Baylor, they gave them 433 yards of total offense and let them average 7.1 yards of play. They have to do better. Gonna skip the Big Ten. They're gonna be last. Pac-12. UCLA at Tennessee. UCLA 49, Tennessee 21. Let's take a look at the stats in that one. 13 first downs for UCLA. 326 yards of total offense. They ran 37 plays, 8.8 yards a play. They rushed the ball 32 times for 220 rushing yards and 5 rushing touchdowns. They only threw for 106 passing yards and 2 passing touchdowns. They were 5 of 5 on the day. 7 of 9 on third down conversions for 77%. Tennessee, 17 first downs, 324 yards of total offense. They ran 56 plays, 5.8 yards a play. Rushed the ball 11 times. 62 rushing yards, 3 rushing touchdowns. And they threw for 262 to the air and no touchdown. Tennessee, 4 of 10 on third down conversions for 40%. Jumping into the pack, the SEC. Number 9, Miami. Number 9, Florida hosted Miami. Florida, 63, Miami 3. 28 first downs for the Gators, 589 yards total offense, 58 plays, 10.2 yards a play. They rushed the ball 31 times for 282 rushing yards and 5 rushing touchdowns while throwing for another 307 passing yards and 4 touchdowns to the air. The Gators were 2 of 5 on third down conversions for 40%. Highlight of the day was the Gators defense holding Miami to 2 of 13 on third down conversions for 15% and only 101 total yards of offense and 4 first downs on the day. Number 6, UCF at Mississippi State. Close game for the Black Knights. 35-24 victory. The Cowbells did not stop the Black Knights, who had 20 first downs, 465 yards of total offense. They ran 75 plays, 6.2 yards a play. They rushed the ball 32 times for 146 rushing yards and 1 rushing touchdown. They threw for 319 and 4 passing touchdowns on the day while going 11 of 17 on third down conversions for 64%. Number 1, Alabama hosting Kentucky. Roll Tide, 56. Wildcats, 10. Taking a look at those stats. Alabama had 27 first downs, 525 yards of total offense. They ran 72 plays, 7.3 yards a play. They rushed the ball 38 times for 128 rushing yards and 4 rushing touchdowns while passing for 397 yards and 4 passing touchdowns. The Tide were 6 of 13 on third down conversions for 46%. And the Tide defense held the Wildcats to just 1 of 10 on third down conversions for 10%. They also only gave up 6 first downs and 179 total yards to the Wildcats on the day. Number 3, Oklahoma hosting their FCS team, blanked them 66-0. Route 66 for the Sooners. Here we go. Taking a look at those stats. They had 20 first downs, 628 yards total offense. They ran 53 plays, 11.8 yards a play. They rushed the ball 31 times for 91 rushing yards and 3 rushing touchdowns. Tough sledding on the ground for the Sooners on the day as they only averaged 2.9 yards a carry. They passed for 537 passing yards, 6 passing touchdowns. The Sooners were 7 of 11 on third down conversions for 63%. Texas hosting their FCS opponent, Longhorns, 49. FCS opponent, 7. Longhorns had 19 first downs, 383 yards of total offense, 71 plays, 5.4 yards a play. They rushed the ball 36 times for 129 rushing yards and 5 rushing touchdowns. They added 254 passing yards to the air and 2 passing touchdowns. The Longhorns were 6 of 12 on third down conversions for 50%. All right, now we're going to jump over to the Big Ten. In the Big Ten, Michigan, number 10 at Washington. Michigan 16, Washington 14. Close game there. Let's take a look at the stats. 16 first downs for the Wolverines, 309 yards of total offense. They ran 72 plays, 4.3 yards a play. They rushed the ball 34 times for 103 rushing yards and 1 rushing touchdown. The Wolverines added 206 passing yards and 0 passing touchdowns while they went 6 of 18 on third down conversions for 33%. Close game. Wolverines lucky to pull it out by 2. Field goal in the fourth quarter cinches the deal. Here we go. Number 4, Ohio State hosting Michigan State. Ohio State 87, Michigan State 7. Buddy, I don't know how many times we've been over this. FCS's opponents, you can score 84. You scored more than that in this game. I know you're playing their backups, but you got to pull your foot off the gas. Consider this the warning. Somebody pass that along, please, because I don't know if he watches the podcast. Here we go. Number 12, Oregon hosting Nebraska. Oregon 38, Nebraska 0. Taking a look at the stats before we go look at Ohio State stats. 24 first downs, 483 yards of total offense, 75 plays, 6.4 yards of play for the Ducks. They rushed the ball 40 times for 149 rushing yards and 5 rushing touchdowns, while adding 334 passing yards through the air. No passing touchdowns for the Ducks, but they were 4 of 14 on third down conversions for 28%. They're going to have to get better. Ohio State, 31 first down, 668 yards, total offense, 72 plays, 9.3 yards of play. They rushed the ball 38 times for 187 rushing yards and 5 rushing touchdowns. They passed for 481 yards and 7 passing touchdowns. They're going 8 of 11 on third down conversions for 72%. You can see he played his backups. Way to spread the numbers out. But you got to score less points. Although Alex Gastineau, 8 receptions, 261 yards. Little bit pushing it there, buddy. This is what I wanted to get to. Number 23, USC versus 19, Notre Dame. USC loses at home, 17-14. Let's take a look at their stats, and then we'll get down to business. 15 first downs, 318 yards of total offense, 62 plays. 5.1 yards of play. They rushed the ball 29 times for 91 rushing yards and 1 rushing touchdown. They threw for 227 passing yards and 1 passing touchdown. The Trojans were 8 of 16 for 50% on the day on third down conversions. But let's talk Christian Winthrop, the quarterback of USC. He was 20 of 32 the week before for 191, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. This week he was 17 of 33 for 147, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Over the course of 2 games, if you smash them together, that's 37 of 65 for 57%. Horrible. 338 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. That looks like a whole game, but he had to take 2 games to do it. And let me tell you, they might as well start calling him Christian Winn-Dixie Winthrop, because after this, he's going to need to get a job packing groceries at the grocery store. And if USC doesn't figure it out, let me tell you something else. It's going to be clean up on aisle fucked. That's what the Trojans will be. Clean up on aisle fucked if they don't figure it out. And Christian Winthrop is going to be taking his happy on ass down to the Winn-Dixie to bag some groceries for the Fighting Irish. And also Michigan State Spartans, because 2 years in a row, the Trojans have fallen to the Michigan State Spartans. Trap game coming up when they play the Michigan Wolverines, folks. Now let's take a look at your Heisman race. Out in front, Oklahoma wide receiver Andre Cruz. Behind him, halfback for Florida, DeAndre Hardiman Jr. Quarterback for Louisville has jumped up to the number 3 spot. Bryce Baker, the quarterback for Florida, has jumped up to 4, and Tavian St. Clair, the quarterback of Ole Miss, has dropped down to number 5. Gonna break down some team stats real quick. See where we're at this point in the year. Here we go. Offensively, points a game, Ohio State 57.4, Texas A&M 53.1, Alabama 53, Florida 4 at 47.4, Oklahoma at 5th 47.2, Pittsburgh 46.8, UCF 44.8. Total offense, Oklahoma 4,600, Florida 4,500, Texas A&M 4,400, Ohio State 4,300. Passing, your top 5 in passing is going to be Oklahoma, Ohio State, Texas A&M, and Michigan. Louisville, the CPU, rounds out the top 5. Going over to rushing yards, your rushing top 5. Florida number 1, Air Force CPU at 2, Texas A&M at 3, Florida Atlantic and Army round out the top 5, both CPU teams. Auburn and Oregon coming in at 6 and 7. Best defense is Auburn, only giving up 12.9 points a game. Next best is Florida at 16.2, Oklahoma 16.5, Ohio State 17.3, Pittsburgh 17.7, and Florida State 18.3. Best defense is Pittsburgh Panthers, only giving up 1,400 yards on the season. USC only giving up about 1,900 on the season. Let's take a look at your sack leaders. Sack leaders, Pitt with 45, Florida with 35, Ohio State in 4th place with 29, Oklahoma in 5th with 28, and Texas A&M in 6th with 25. Interception leaders, Ohio State 18. 3rd place, Florida with 13. UCF in 5th, tied with Florida for 3rd place with 13. Ole Miss coming in at number 6 with 12. All right, that's a little bit of some team updates and stats. That's all I got for you this week. Until next time, this is Coach Dub signing off.